Ahoy there! Welcome back to Building the Boys. We now have issue 102 of Hachette's Build the Titanic. In this one, we will receive the second support, but we're working on the first support. A bit of an unusual one. But we're working on the first, we're still remaining parts of the first support. We're putting another wire in, basically, is what we're doing. And closing it out like we did, and then that won't be complete. Then we've got the second one that we can use later. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think anything goes into the second one. So I think you've just got it, which would then make sense. And then next one, we were attaching it all to the base. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting times. At the end of this one, we'll be talking to who was nearly the richest man on the Titanic. We know James Jacob Astor was the richest man on the Titanic, but he very nearly wasn't. And we'll talk about a remarkable dodge, followed by a very unfortunate hit. If you haven't yet, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps channel massively. But without further ado, let's get this one open. Let's get this one built. Okay, so let's take a look what comes in 102. So, yeah, as expected. So this is stand number 2. Now it's just a solid piece, so there won't be any wires running through this. This will be, that's done, basically. So this should be, I would imagine, like the last one, the cover maybe? No? Oh, wow, okay, those are some big old bolts there, right. So we've got some very hefty bolts there. What else do we have? We have an input. And this should surely be the cover piece. There's the cover piece. And there are our obligatory AP screws. Right, without further ado, let's bring the stand over. Let's get this one built. Okay, so this is what we built in 101. This is a very similar setup to what we're doing. So we are taking our input here, which is they just call it electric cable D. They're not giving an actual name, but it's going this way around. So this piece facing this way. And again, this will fit flush to the opening. So we want this into the groove, into the channel. So when we lock it in, it will lock in nicely and evenly. This is giving me a bit of jib. All right, come on, you are going to play ball. Whether you like it or not, this is happening. Yep, gonna need a closer look. There we go. So that's how we'll be looking. So it's nice and flush to there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to feed this wire through the bottom like we did with the last one. So taking our connector there, we go straight through the bottom and pull this all the way through. Don't leave yourself like that. Make sure this goes all the way through, because you'll kick yourself if later on you're like a mil short of wire. You're thinking, oh, there was that bloody kink in the wire. Right, so that's done. I'm going to take our piece here, pop that over the top, sandwich that one in. There we go. And we're going to hold this together with 4 AP screws. So it's interesting because we're not putting anything into the other support. So all the electrics are going through this one support here. Again, AP screws, you don't need to use 3-in-1 oil on this because it's going into plastic. Oil and plastic aren't the best of friends. So yeah, you don't need to. You don't need to anyway. I mean, there's no resistance here. These are easy to put in. We have got a decent length of wire coming off of these, which I'm very happy about, because there's nothing worse, as I said, when you realise your wire's, you know, a centimetre short. And you're thinking, do I yank at this? Do I try and find some slack from somewhere? But it looks like we're looking all right on wire. He says. I mean, I might find out later on that's completely wrong. But we can always extend them. It's not the end of the world. But these, I mean, again, these do feel solid. They genuinely do. So any sort of concerns you've got of, oh, will that hold it? It'll hold it. I am curious what these bloody great big bolts are for. I've got these very fat bolts they've sent us. As far as I can see, I don't think we use them in this one. We might be. I will double check in a minute, but I don't think we are. So this final one in here. There we go. That's all 4 of those. And that's how we're now looking. So we have an input here and an output here. And that, I believe, is it. I'll double check, but I think that's all we're doing in this one. It is. So everything that we got left over is being kept for the next one. So we've got all of this here. We've received support number 2 here. And again, it's solid. Don't have any concerns. It's solid. And then we've got these quite hefty bolts. Now, I would imagine these are what are going to attach it to the base. I would imagine. I don't know. But hold on to those. Don't lose those. Hold on to them. And that is all for this one. Let's have a chat. So that's that one done. So we've got our 2 stands now. So we have this one here and we have this one here. Now, people are asking, does it bolt to the stand? No, there's no way, because there's nothing to bolt it to it there. Nothing. There's no bolt holes. So no, it doesn't bolt to it. So that does leave us in the fairly annoying position where this thing's going to essentially rest on the stand. Not happy about that. I kind of wanted to bolt to it, but there's no way it's going to rest on the stand. But yeah, it is what it is. I feel a lot better about it if it locked to it, you know, because I just do. Now, I'm not planning on bumping it or anything like that, but, you know, things happen, don't they, you know? But I would have preferred it if it locked to the stand. That's kind of where I would have been, but it looks like that ain't going to happen. But yeah, it is what it is. That's it for the build instructions. If you just stopped by for build instructions, thank you for stopping by. Please remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel massively, and we love having you along for the journey. For those of you sticking around for our Titanic talks, we are talking about who was nearly the wealthiest man on the Titanic, and it is this gentleman here. Now, it's Alfred Vanderbilt. Had he have been on the Titanic, he would have been worth considerably more than Jacob Astor. He was, if not the wealthiest man on the planet, top 3. And legend has it he was booked to be on the Titanic, but didn't, and went on a smaller vessel. However, very recently, and I do mean very recently, in the past couple of years, there's been some dispute on whether or not that was the Vanderbilt that was going to be on the Titanic. And there's an argument that it was actually his uncle, George Vanderbilt. Regardless, had George been on the Titanic, he would have been wealthier than Astor. The Vanderbilts made their money from shipping and railroad and were still are worth ridiculous amounts of money. But what makes his story more poignant is if he had have been on the Titanic, would he have survived it or not? Because what happened to him next is a little bit heartbreaking. So he was a philanthropist. He was involved quite heavily early doors with the YMCA, the Young Man's Christian Aid, donated a lot of money to it. And he was a decent cat. I mean, a lot of the time we hear people with money, we assume they're a scumbag. I don't know what that is, but we hear money, we think must be a scumbag. Apparently not. Apparently he was a stand-up dude. Philanthropy was big on his thing. He liked his women. I mean, there is a string of kind of exes along the way, but you know, who are we to judge? But he was a decent dude, and I think proven by what happened to him. So he was on a business trip, and he was traveling back to I might have that wrong. He was either traveling to New York or from New York, but he was on the Lusitania in 1915. When a German U-boat smacked a torpedo into the side of it. The torpedo explosion itself caused massive damage, but it also caused a second explosion on board, which just ripped the Lusitania to pieces. And it sank in 18 minutes. I mean, the speed the Lusitania went down was ridiculous. The damage was that bad. It wasn't going to happen. There were some survivors of the Lusitania, but not many. However, Vanderbilt was seen by a lot of people. He was famous, so a lot of people observed his actions on board that night. And he was seen helping people into lifeboats. A lot of people have said this. He was helping people a lot into lifeboats. He then came across a young mother with her child who didn't have a lifebelt. And he said, wait, I will get you one. And he ran to find a lifebelt. When he came back, he didn't have one. He said, I can't find another one. He took his off, put it on the mother and tied it himself and put her into the lifeboat. Now, what makes this particularly remarkable is Vanderbilt couldn't swim. So he knew that this act was condemning himself to death. He knew that this it was essentially a suicide thing to hand, because even if he'd survived the waters, he was going to drown, which is remarkable. So again, I mean, when we hear these things, and movies like to do this, they like to make out that the upper classes waltz all over the lower classes to get to boats and whatnot. It's just not true. It just isn't true. It makes for good fiction, but there's that age-old saying, never let the truth get in the way of some good bollocks. It's just not true, and I think it's kind of disrespectful to those men that were decent. Just because they came from wealth doesn't mean they were horrible people. And he made the ultimate sacrifice. He knew full well. He's looking at a mother and child in front of him. He's like, her life has more value than mine. Take my belt. Tied it himself, put her in the boat, and let her go. And in that act, basically condemned himself to watery grave. They never recovered Vanderbilt's body. Tragically, I believe 1,500 people died on that ship. And it's again, it's testament to the quality of the man, the character of the man. Money doesn't make you evil. It doesn't. But at the same time, it does make you good. And this is the thing. I mean, I've no doubt there were third-class passengers of the Titanic that acted scummy, in the same way there were probably first-class passengers that acted scummy. It's a great leveler. Tragedy is a great leveler. It really is, because all the money in the world is worth nothing in the cold dark of night when you are heading towards the depths. But that's all for this one. But no, fair play to him, and I raised my cap to Vanderbilt. Is a decent dude, really was. That's all for this. If you would like to contact us, you can contact us at Build with the Boys. We'll be back very, very soon with issue 103, where we have got an enormous base. It's huge. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. And I'll see you very, very soon for more from Build the Titanic. Take care, and I'll see you then.